Hi guys, and welcome to this Consul Hangout. You probably know me from some Hangouts from before. I'm working here in Community Management and InterNations, and this is a Hangout that we're hosting together with Adam. Adam is our lead engineer who is working on InterNations native app, so one of the features that is coming to you guys quite soon. So today we're going to ask him lots of questions that we collected from you about all the different developments on the InterNations app, but also some other things. We collected quite a few questions from you, but if you would like to ask them live, please click on the show chat on the top right corner of your video right now, and it will give you the possibility to ask the questions. We'll keep an eye on them and make sure that we get them answered firsthand from Adam. So, Adam, tell a bit more about the team you're working with and what's your focus right now?
Yeah, well, of course, the focus right now is to build the new InterNations app as fast as possible. So some of you consuls out there might have already received early access to the app. So yeah, that's really our focus, is to build the app as fast as possible. Talking about the team a little bit more specifically, the team is a typical engineering team. It's built of technical staff as well as people who are more focused on the visual design side, and people more focused on the product side, so figuring out what features we actually want in the app or what features are important to our users. So yeah, we have all of these roles coming together to hopefully build an app that everybody enjoys.
Great. Because we already have the app that is available for our members to use for quite some time now. Right. Do you actually take it as a basis, or do you develop everything from scratch?
Actually, in this case, we decided to start fresh. To be a little bit technical, the current app is what's called a hybrid app. And this means that it's a mix between a native app, so actually code that it runs on the device, and actually our mobile website. So no doubt our users of the app have realized that our native app in the store looks really similar to the website, and that's because it is. So we need to move away from this because users have complained that it's quite slow to use. For example, if you're on a cellular connection that maybe isn't ideal, if you viewed something before, you can't go back and view it unless you are constantly sending data around. So there are some real fundamental problems there that meant that just rewriting it from scratch was going to give us a better result.
Okay, so how did you approach this whole process from the beginning? Did you do some questionnaire? Did you survey users?
Lots of that. So we're kind of approaching it more from the perspective that a startup would. So of course we have an existing product, we have an existing goal in mind, but we really wanted to focus first on the features that are most important to our core users. So this is reflected in how we're kind of rolling the app out. So we roll it out to small groups at a time. We collect their feedback, figure out what's important to them, and then make it awesome for that, and then roll it out to more and more people, collect their feedback, and make it great for them as well. So it's kind of an iterative, ongoing process. Rather than necessarily having the complete picture in mind when we begin, we're figuring it out as we go.
I see. So it's actually, you also mentioned at the beginning that the first test is already undergoing. So yes. You're probably hearing a lot of feedback right now also from the users.
Yes, absolutely. And that feedback is especially critical. I mean, it basically drives direct into the features that we're building. If you people out there have access to the app, please do send us that feedback. We definitely look at it, and it's definitely important.
And just to remind you guys, if you do have any questions, please submit them in the live chat that we opened up for you. So click on the right-hand corner of your video you're viewing right now, so we can see your questions. And I already see Junaid coming up with a question. Hey, Junaid, from Istanbul. Okay. Yes, we moved the camera, so I hope you were able to hear Adam, but now you're also able to see him. Thanks. So please submit your questions if you have any. And now I would like to actually refer to some questions that we received, also more specific questions that we received about the app from our CTG Consuls and also Consul ambassadors worldwide. So one of the very specific questions related to the app is, would it be possible to rate an event using an InterNations app?
Well, it's not currently possible. It absolutely will be possible very soon.
So it's kind of will be mimicking also the feature that we have on the platform.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. And would there be a forum accessible?
Well, this is an interesting question. So, I mentioned that we're approaching the app in what's called an iterative fashion. So just focusing on what's really the most high priority next step, rather than necessarily trying to paint a picture of what the app will be, 2 years from now or a year from now or whatever. And so when it comes to some of InterNations' more content-related features, we definitely want to integrate that, that good solid content, the forum content. It's just simply not the highest priority right now. The highest priority is finding, creating events and activities, and making that experience great for not only our volunteers, but our users, of course. So we're focusing on that, and then once that experience is awesome, integrating more of the content is a possibility.
So that's actually good news for our consuls ambassadors who are watching us, because that would be the priority for them, I guess. But thanks, Pierre from Bangkok, for these questions about the app. I also kind of curious to hear what are the features that are coming up next regarding the app and all the things that you have planned, for example, for the next couple of months.
Yeah. So some of the things that are coming up, we're doing a lot of polishing. So, the visual impression of the app, although I think it's pretty good, it could be a lot better. So we're spending a lot of time polishing that and making the app look good, especially on different device sizes. Like the iPhone X, for example, fixed an issue just today related to that. But otherwise, relevant, we're adding the ability to create activities into the app. So that's something that we're actively working on right now. So that's coming real soon. Other features, we want to look at the Wire. If people are familiar with the Wire, it's the activity feed of recent goings on the platform. We want to take a look at that and maybe do something a little bit more interesting and engaging with that, but that's still something to figure out.
Thank you, Adam. I also wanted to know, and also some of our consuls, namely Marco from Milan, wanted to know if there is a possibility, because now when he opens the group page, it's all the groups that he's membered of listed on the group page. So is there in the planning that maybe if these are groups that they're consul of, the consuls could see them first?
It's the first I've actually heard that request, but it makes perfect sense. I think there's all sorts of possibilities to sort of optimize the experience of our volunteers beyond that of a normal, beyond that of a normal member. And so this is why feedback is super important. So it's interesting to hear that. That's the first time I've heard that request, and I'd be happy to build it.
Yeah, great. I also wanted to mention that kind of touching upon this point of making the list of groups more visible to the consuls, so their own groups more visible to the consuls. We are currently testing what we call a cockpit for ambassadors and consuls. This would be the one go-to place to find all the resources, the materials, but also all the management tools that will help you to organize and run your activities and events. So in this section, there will be definitely a tab that will list all the groups the Consul is Consul of. So that's kind of also coming up in the next couple of months. We're already testing it in some of our communities and currently receiving quite a lot of feedback. So stay tuned, it's gonna come to your community quite soon. And if you have any questions about that, please also comment in the live chat or let your contact person at InterNations know, and we'll be happy to give you more information. I also know that you've been quite heavily involved with development of the guest list manager app, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, indeed. I think you were the one who actually set it up.
Yeah, if people are interested, I built the prototype of the guest list manager, mostly on my free time, or entirely on my free time. And then, yeah, we picked it up here in the office and developed it further, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that's the tool that all of our investors use, and now we made it available also for consuls. So just a side note, please make sure you use it because it helps us greatly. And also for yourself to see who is attending your activities and events. And by gathering more and more data, we can come up with more solutions how to manage the attendance at your events and activities. But one specific question was coming from Istanbul about the guest list manager, that some of the Android users, so we have the app available, of course, for Apple devices, but also for Android-based devices. Some of the Android users have are a bit skeptical about giving the privacy request, given the access to private data when they download the app. Is there any way to...
So this is the concern about the level of permissions that the app requires?
Exactly.
Yeah. So it is a fairly typical set of features. I mean, I can say that there's nothing like nefarious going on there. It's not like we're I don't actually think that we have access to things like your contacts, for example, on your phone. We don't have access to that. If memory serves, we have access to like your Wi-Fi connectivity status. We have access to your photos and camera, which is necessary for the use of the scan functionality. So I can just say that the permissions that we request are just necessary for the task that we're doing, and we're not doing anything more than just checking people in and scanning barcodes and this sort of stuff.
Yeah, so that's actually very helpful to know for some of the people who have some privacy concerns. And of course, one of the other follow-up questions from Istanbul was that the desktop version would be preferable, but the idea of the guest list manager app is to be mobile, to be there with you at the event, at the activity. So I guess it kind of defeats the purpose if you have the desktop version, because you cannot carry your laptop with you at all times. And therefore, we went with the idea of the app instead of the desktop version. I do have a question from Cüneyt from Istanbul about the rating feature. I don't know, I can ask it first and maybe you can just add to it if you have any comments. That he noticed that the members can rate his event and his activities, but he didn't mark them in the guest list manager app, so they're not attending the activity or event. How did this happen, and does it mean that the no-shows can rate the organizers too? Well, the email or the rating model that appears to all the members who are signed up to the event or activity right after the event or activity took place, and they revisit the page. So basically right now it appears to all the members from what I know, and therefore even people who were not marked in your guest list manager app can see this rating and can also rate your activity or event. However, I think this is something that we could improve on.
Yeah, it might be the case that everybody gets the email, but when we actually calculate any sort of like summary information, then we're basically filtering those people out. This might be true currently. I don't know that it is, but if it's not, it absolutely should be true.
Yeah, exactly. So that's actually a very valid point that we should use the guest list manager data if it's available. So if a consul or an ambassador actually use the guest list manager app at their event or activity, we should send this, or we should make this model available only to those who attended. But then again, we have to rely a lot on your support, because if you don't use the app, we actually don't have the data. So that could lead to some misunderstandings. And yeah, I do encourage you guys to write in your questions, because we still have some minutes to go with Adam, and ask me anything. This is the concept of this Q&A today, so just feel free to ask anything you want. There's also another question coming from a couple of consuls in Munich regarding the home community. So the question was, can the InterNations select only one city? So InterNations members can select only one city where they live, or can they mark 2 more cities as their home communities if they're like traveling a lot or live in different locations?
Yeah.
Equally.
Well, just talking about the app specifically, we did just add the ability to switch your browsing community within the last couple of weeks. So, so if you update your app or you have access to the new version, you should have the ability to do so. However, there isn't the possibility to have 2 home communities, although you can, of course, have a home community and then you can browse a different community. And now speaking about the new version of the app specifically, we do have a list of recent communities. So we do track when you switch to a new community, and we make those super accessible. So you would just tap on the community switch, tap on the recent community. So two gestures and you're there. So hopefully that's easy to use.
Yeah, probably, because I don't think they have that feature on the platform right now.
No.
Okay.
One home. You can only call one city home.
Yeah, I can only call one city home. Yeah, and also from my side, I would like to add that just a suggestion that if you're actually traveling a lot or visiting another city or living in both cities at the same time, just of course set one community as your home community, but then you can be part of groups in another city. So then you'll receive all the notifications about the activities happening in those groups, and you can keep up to date, but you cannot post them. So if you want to stop receiving those notifications, you have to leave the group. So just be aware of that you'll receive a lot of invitations for activities in both communities. But it's definitely possible. Also, we received a few questions about the profiles, and one of them was also about visibility of the groups that the consul is consul of on their profiles, which is actually quite a simple question, because we do have it right now, maybe not as visible as somebody would like to have it, but if you scroll down on the profile, you can see the groups that the consul is member of, and the ones that have a little consul head, the blue one, actually are owned by the consul. So yeah, just use this indication in order to find the groups that you want to. Yes, then the other question was, and that actually came up quite a few times. I'm just gonna address this because it was quite a common question. Is there a way to invite all contacts at the same time to activities in the group? Well, no, because we don't want to spam people. That's the most important reason. There was a possibility to do that before, but we received quite a few complaints from members themselves that they don't want to receive invitations to all the activities happening in the community, only the ones that they're interested or the groups that they were interested in. Therefore, we removed that feature quite some time ago. And now, yes, so we don't offer it, but if your contact is a member of your group, they would definitely receive the invitation to all the activities that you are hosting in your group. So, I mean, if you do have any questions regarding that, let your contact person at InterNations know. But I think there can be some things done around it, but there's no possibility to invite all your contacts because of the spamming reasons. I hope we clarified that. Okay, so if you're talking about the cool features coming up in the next couple of months, we already know that InterNations native app, as we call it, is getting the full swing. So if you happen to be in the pool of the first testers, first users, make sure to let Adam know and the team know about all the feedback you have, because it's tremendously important that because we are building the app for the users. And if it's not usable, then we have to change it. But I know that it's definitely usable. The guys are putting a lot of work and effort into this. And secondly, I would like to point out the importance of using the guest list manager app. This is also something that Adam worked on, but now it's been with a different team. We have quite a few teams here at InterNations working on different features. So please make sure that you use it for your benefit, but also to give us some more data so we can manage the attendees better on our side and give you more tools how to do it on your side.
Just one comment. If anybody's watching the stream and you would like to have access to the new app and you don't currently, just email us and I will personally add you.
What's the email then?
Well, what's yours?
Okay, so email your contact person, I guess, or the one that you're in contact at InterNations, and they will let Adam know, and he will give you the access to the testing app. Yeah, so that's quite exciting to be among the first ones. And last but not least, as I've already mentioned, this is the feature that's coming up exclusively for our consuls and ambassadors, is the cockpit for consuls and ambassadors, where you will have all the information that is relevant for your role and all the tools to help you manage your activities and events better in one place. And we are also currently testing it, so keep your eyes open to it being introduced in your community. Thank you everybody for submitting your questions. Thank you for watching us online. Thank you for submitting your questions in the live chat. And also thank you, Adam, for your time, for your insights, yeah, and for all the information that you've given us today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And I'll tell you till next time, keep following the InterNations Academy YouTube channel. Bye-bye.